Hello, how are you today? Now, today I want to share with you a quick tip about how to use pseudo elements before and after to create some beautiful underline or even some lines before and after some text. Most of the time we can do InDesign and even do some lines with the rounded caps, but I asked myself several times, how do you do this in HTML and CSS? Finally, I found it and I can share it with you. I believe it will help somebody who was struggling or who is struggling like I was. So we are just going to create these three in CSS and HTML. I've designed this in Figma, so it's a cool user interface design tool, and you can be able to create very, very beautiful things and even prototype with it. But that is not the topic for today. So let's jump into CSS. I will use Visual Studio Code to create this So in Visual Studio we probably need two plugins to be available, a live server and a live SAS compiler, because we're going to create our CSS in SAS, and the SAS compiler will be able to generate the CSS file for us. So I'll start by creating my HTML file. I'll call it index.html. We can quickly put in some content in it. I'll call this just Tip1. Then let me finish with the setup. I'll also need a style CSS. Now the moment we add our SAS file here, the SAS compiler is actually enabled, so you can check at the bottom, you'll see watch SAS. So when we turn that on, this will watch the changes that we make to our SAS file and generate a CSS file for the same. So we can also start running our live server to watch updates that we are going to be making on in our HTML and probably the other files related to it. So I just want to add some 3 text items for the 3 items that we want to share. I'll just use a heading 1 to create this. The famous Hello World. I'll give it a class of center. I'll create a class of left, and also for sides for the 3. So this will be my center. All right, left and sides, basically the small dashes to the left and to the right of the text. So I would also probably want to just change the font on this. So I've picked Poppins, so I'll just add Poppins here, and I will also need to add my link. So the link to our CSS file. So up to that point, I think we are done with the HTML. We can now start checking out how our CSS is coming up. So I'll go to SAS. I'll probably put in that font style that I've copied from Google Fonts. I would also want to increase the font size of this. I can use say 48 pixels or 48 points for font size. Sorry about that. So we'll probably also need the color. We can borrow the color from Figma. I'll just say copy, come here. I don't know which color is this. It's orange, I think so. So I can create a variable here for orange so that I can use it anywhere. Let me just put it at the body, say body color is equals to orange. Okay, that should give all my all my items there a background of orange. So I need to start doing with the classes. We have center, which basically needs to put the underline at the bottom of like in our design here. Yes, like in the design we have here, we need to put that underline at the center at the bottom. So I will use a pseudo class, a pseudo element, after, because the line actually comes after the text. It is below the text, so the after pseudo line makes sense. The after pseudo element makes sense. So I will do this in SAS. Actually, SAS allows you to do this. This simply means I want is something like, say, h1 dot center after. Actually, you can check this out on the resulting style here. When we save, you'll probably see that it's not coming because our after is still empty. But let's put in something in it. Let me start by putting in content. You need the content to make the after element to show up. I will also set the display to blocks so that I can be able to control its dimensions. Like the height, I need it to be, the thickness of that line can be about 8 pixels. Then I need the width. I'll use something like 80 pixels because I just want it to be shorter than the text itself. Then we need the color. So the color we are applying here is the background color, and I will just apply the orange that we had, the orange variable that we had set up there. So yes, this is what I was talking about. You can see it's generating that the CSS for you just how you had set it up. All right, so so far we should actually be able to see a line. Let's go to our CSS. Yes, we have a line. It's only that it is aligned to the left, so we can quickly move it to the position where we want it, that is at the center. But before we do that, we still have that line cap to deal with. So we need a border radius of about 4 pixels, and then you can see we have that nice cap on both sides of the line. Now let's go ahead and center a line our underline there. I'll use the margin to do that. Now we probably are not seeing this at the center because of the width of the H1 element that we have there. You can see it, so the H1 element stretches from edge to edge. We can actually ensure that it stays within the limits of the text by just changing the width of the H1 element. So I'm just doing this to check the size. 372. I can use 373. We can use 373 in this case. So I will just come here. I'll use this, say width is equals to 373 pixels, and now you see what happens. It comes in nicely. We'll also want to center a line put all of them at the center. Let me also just put in some margin down there. Okay, so we are done with the center. Let's go to the next one. The next one is quite easy. We just we remove the alignment, and there we go. So this is left, and there it is. The third one is the one that can be a little bit tricky. Let's take a look. This was sides, and sides has two. There's the after and before. So I will deal with this. Now we probably want to make this shorter, and we will change the display to inline to ensure they can be on both sides. Now there is a small problem here. The width only accommodates the text. That is why you find the dash wraps to the next line. So we can deal with that by actually increasing the width. So we know we have a width of 40. The other one will also be 40. That makes 80. And the original width of our text of our container here, the H1 element, was 373. So probably if we add like 100, we'll have 473 pixels. That probably accommodates also maybe some margin that we would want to include. I've included like a margin of 10 pixels to have the gap. So I can add the margin here, margin left for this, for the dash to the right, and give it like 10 pixels. I think that is okay. So let me go for the one to the left, so I'll call it before, and there you go. You see some margin. Now if you look at our lines there, they're just like at the bottom of the text, but in our design our lines are supposed to be at the middle of the text. So how do we deal with that? There are quite a number of ways, but today I'm just going to share with you one. So I will make sure that the element is displayed in Flex so that I can have the ability to center align them. So align items center, which is probably the default. So let's see. Wow. And now there we have all our 3 designs right there. You can compare. Boom. There we have the left, and that we have the right. So that is all for now. Thank you very much. I hope this helps someone create something beautiful.